When she returned home in the evening, her stepmother called her derogatory names and claimed that the cause of all the terrible things that happened was her devilish hair. She threatened that if she didn't manage to cut her hair, the braided locks on her head would be given the name devilish serpents. The evil of her hair would continue to be unleashed.
Once upon a time, there was a girl named T in the midst of a small village. She was different from the other girls in the village. Her dreadlocks set her apart from her mocking peers. They pulled on her hair as she walked down the street, and some even went so far as to believe she was possessed. Its mother never hesitated to tell her how special she was, but it was still hard for her to believe. Someone in the village hated her because of her hair. One day, as T was fetching water from the village stream, Itimi came to the stream with his friends. Itimi was the son of a respected man in the village, and respectfully, he approached T and asked for some water from her clay pot. While his friends said nothing, they eagerly waited for T's reaction and laughed when they saw T examining her dreaded hair. He handed her a small gourd of water and thanked her politely for her help. All his friends were shocked by Itimi's unusual behavior, as he was always so arrogant and rough. But T paid no attention to them because she couldn't help but believe there was more to him. The encounter between T and Itimi became the talk of the village, especially when Itimi fell ill. Many believed that Itimi was bewitched by the strange-haired girl, while others claimed that the curse had been transferred to T. His wealthy father did everything to cure him, but Itimi's condition worsened with each passing day. T felt so guilty that everyone believed she was the cause of his illness. As she walked through the village streets, she was pierced by the condemning looks of the villagers. And in that moment, T knew she had to do something. When she returned home that evening, her stepmother called her derogatory names and claimed that her hair was the reason for all the terrible things that were happening. She threatened that if she didn't manage to cut her hair, the braided locks on her head would be given the name devilish serpents. The evil of her hair would continue to be unleashed. Upon hearing this, T felt so miserable that she retreated into her heart and began to cry. She took a sharp knife and was about to cut her hair when her mother burst in and stopped her. When T asked her mother if she was cursed, she burst into uncontrollable tears, and her mother explained to her that her hair was a blessing, and she shouldn't listen to what people said because with her dreaded hair, she was perfect. Night fell, and T couldn't sleep. When she heard a strange noise outside, she dared to investigate. She met a frail old woman under a tree who addressed her with raised hair. "You summoned me," said the old woman as T's whole body broke out in goosebumps. "What troubles you, my precious child?" asked the old woman, and stuttering with fear, T told her what had happened. The old woman listened attentively and explained to T that people feared things they didn't understand, and that her dreadlocks were a gift to the entire village. When she asked what she meant by gift, T looked at her puzzled, but before she could finish the question, the old woman disappeared into the darkness of the night. T returned to sleep, pondering over everything the old woman had said. The next morning, she was awakened by a loud noise outside her hut and saw a group of villagers who had come to fetch her. They all believed that T was cursed and must leave the village. T's mother did her best to stop them, but all her efforts were in vain. They decided to leave the village, and T's mother, knowing there was nowhere they could go, led them from village to village. People had never seen anyone with so much hair, and that frightened them. No one allowed them to settle in their village, so T and her mother slept in the dark forest for days, while mosquitoes feasted on their tender bodies. Despite the fear and rejection they experienced, T's mother never gave up her belief that her hair was a blessing. She reminded T that with her dreaded locks, she was perfect, and that one day she would show everyone her true power. T stuck to her mother's words, but she couldn't shake the thought that it might have been the villagers. She was right, and therefore, one night, while her mother slept, T made the difficult decision to secretly flee into the woods. It wasn't an easy choice for T seeing her mother suffer, but she hoped that her absence would help her mother recover. She simply wanted to wander through the villages and hope to find someone who would accept her as she was. Along the way, she was called out by people who labeled her a witch and a voice, but T didn't give up. One night, as T slept in the woods, she decided to keep going, and in the distance, she saw a peculiar figure. It was a man with an odd appearance who suddenly transformed into an extremely handsome man as he grabbed her by the Rasta hair. T tried to escape as the oddly looking man grabbed her by the Rasta hair, noticing a bright glow emanating from them. Astonished, T watched as the man transformed into a very handsome man. The man thanked T for saving him and explained to her that since the day she entered his life, she had healed not only his curse but also his heart. The man explained that it was T's destiny to break his curse, as only someone with a pure and misunderstood heart could feel his touch to break the curse. He said that the power of her unique Rastas could break the curse. T held on to the man's words, but she couldn't shake the thought that it might have been the villagers. She was right, and therefore, one night, while her mother slept, T made the difficult decision to secretly flee into the woods. It wasn't an easy choice for T, seeing her mother suffer, but she hoped that her absence would help her mother recover. She simply wanted to wander through the villages and hope to find someone who would accept her as she was. Along the way, she was called out by people who labeled her a witch and a voice, but T didn't give up. One night, as T slept in the woods, she decided to keep going, and in the distance, she saw a peculiar figure. It was a man with an odd appearance who suddenly transformed into an extremely handsome man as he grabbed her by the Rasta hair. T tried to escape as the oddly looking man grabbed her by the Rasta hair, noticing a bright glow emanating from them. Astonished, T watched as the man transformed into a very handsome man. The man thanked T for saving him and explained to her that since the day she entered his life, she had healed not only his curse, but also his heart. They arrived at the kingdom of the man and found out that the curse had been cast by an evil witch who had turned him into a strange creature in the forest. They told the king their story, and after a few days, they began their search for Dara, the place of the curse. Upon reaching the kingdom of Dara, they found the curse in a state of despair. The wealthy man pleaded with Dara to save his life and heal his son, Itami. The merciful Dara, full of compassion, agreed to save Itami's life, and as she cut off her Rasta hair and placed it on Itami's chest, the curls began to glow, and as Itami was healed, the illness disappeared. The people in the town called out T's name, and the whole village was filled with joy. But as T was about to leave the house, she was told that her stepmother was dying and that she needed to understand what was happening. When T saw her stepmother on her deathbed, she realized that her heart was still filled with wickedness, and she begged her stepmother to let go of the malice. But she refused and died in her malice, and the whole village trembled with revelation and begged T for forgiveness because they realized how poorly they had treated her. With time, T found solace in visiting the prince and found herself more and more in Tess village, where their relationship blossomed like a flower. One evening, as the tree was in full bloom and the prince decided to walk along the village stream, he spoke with her and explained that she had not only healed his curse, but also his heart since the day she entered his life. He asked T if she would honor him by becoming his bride, and filled with joy, T agreed, loving the prince so much that she married him. Thus, the girl was born, and despite years of rejection and discrimination, they became Queen Dreadlocks, bringing joy to the entire village. The lesson from this story is, evil has an expiration date. Do not dig a pit for others, as you might fall into it yourself. Do not discriminate against anyone just because they look different. Be open to differences, and accept everyone for who they are. Always be kind, as a little kindness can save a life. I hope you enjoyed the story. Please subscribe and comment to help us grow. Until next time in our next story, goodbye.